Hello everyone, this is Jack Frost with your weekly update for Nasdaq. Overall price has continued to move up with increasing bullish momentum, and this continued bullish movement supports the bullish Elliott Wave count. Elliott Wave first, technical analysis last. On the bullish weekly chart, cycle wave 4 is labeled complete at this low, with cycle wave 5 now pulling price higher currently within primary wave 3. Primary wave 2 is labeled complete at this October 22nd low, with price now increasing with a push in bullish momentum for primary wave 3. Any second wave corrective movement within primary wave 3 cannot move below this start, where primary wave 2 is labeled complete at 12543.86. Primary wave 3 pulling price higher with a target calculated at 19588, the 1.618 Fibonacci ratio of primary wave 1. A base channel is drawn around the current primary degree movements from the beginning of primary wave 1 to the end of primary wave 2 with a copy on the end of primary wave 1. Primary wave 3 is expected to break above resistance at this channel with its increase in bullish movement and momentum. On the bullish daily chart, we can see more detail for primary wave 2 with the end of primary wave 1 just over here, and more detail for the current upwards movement within primary wave 3. Minute wave 5 has a target calculated at 15019, the 0.618 Fibonacci ratio of minute wave 3. A best fit channel is drawn around the current minute degree movements, and with a candlestick breaking below, not touching this channel, there will be confidence in minor wave 1 being complete and minor wave 2 to pull price lower. Minor wave 2 cannot move below the start of minor wave 1 at 12543.86. On this bullish alternate chart, primary wave 2 is labeled an income with minor wave B with an intermediate wave Y labeled complete at this November 21st high. Now expecting price to decline for minor wave C and the end of intermediate wave Y. Primary wave 2 has a target calculated at 11756.02. The 0.618 Fibonacci ratio of primary wave 1. If primary wave 2 does reach this target and continues lower, it cannot move below the start of primary wave 1 at 10092.94. And overall, cycle wave 5 is expected to pull price higher with a target calculated at 25197, where it would reach equality in length with cycle wave 3. On the bearish weekly chart, cycle wave 4 is labeled incomplete with the end of cycle wave 3 just over here. Recent downwards movement is labeled cycle wave 4, currently within primary wave Y of either a double zigzag or double combination. Within primary wave Y, intermediate wave A is expected to be within its third minor wave, with minor wave 2 labeled complete at this same November 21st high. If minor wave 2 does continue any higher, it only has a short way to go before it would reach the start of minor wave 1 at 14446.55. At that point, this wave count will be invalidated. And on the bearish daily chart, we can see more detail for minor waves 1 and 2 with the end of primary wave X over here. Over this last week, minor wave 2 has continued higher, currently subdividing as a complete single zigzag. And if minor wave 2 does continue upwards, reaching this point as mentioned on the weekly chart, this wave count will have to be invalidated. On the technical weekly chart, price has continued to increase, finding resistance at 14250, with volume steadily pushing price higher. ADX is declining, showing no clear trend. On balance volume breaking out of resistance, giving a bullish signal. RSI and money flow both neutral, and stochastics now entering overbought. Stochastics entering overbought, where price finds resistance at 14250. This data is bullish and supports the main Elliott Wave count. And on the technical daily chart, price has continued to increase with a measuring gap just here as price moves through support at 13850. Price overall increasing with volume overall pushing price higher. On balance volume previously breaking out of resistance, currently with no new range. ADX is increasing with a bullish trend. RSI is neutral and money flow is overbought. RSI having just entered overbought and currently having returned. Stochastics is overbought and has remained so for quite some time, as RSI has previously entered overbought, though it is currently neutral and money flow is currently overbought. A corrective movement may occur soon to relieve these conditions. And on the Nasdaq AD chart, the AD line continues to make lower lows as price continues to make higher lows. This continues the long-term bearish divergence dating back to February 2023 and all the way back to 2009. That's all for me with your weekly update for Nasdaq. I hope everyone has a good week.